Ladies and gentlemen, there are two kinds of people in this world, those who let pain destroy them and those who use pain to ignite them. Every scar you carry, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every sleepless night, it wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to build you. Pain is not your punishment. It's your power source. The secret lies not in avoiding pain, but in learning how to transform it. You see every person you admire today, every champion, every visionary, every world changer has one thing in common. They turned their deepest pain into unstoppable fuel. They made a decision not to let their story end in suffering, but to rewrite it into strength. So today, I want to share with you 6 powerful keys to help you turn your pain into your greatest source of power. The first step to transformation is acceptance. Most people spend their lives running from pain, numbing it, denying it, pretending it doesn't exist. But what you resist persists. When you face your pain with courage, when you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what is this teaching me? Everything changes. Pain becomes a teacher, a guide, a messenger pointing you toward growth. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. Embrace the discomfort, because that's where strength begins. The moment you stop identifying as a victim, you take back your power. Pain can make you bitter, or it can make you brave. The difference lies in the story you tell yourself. Every setback contains the seed of a comeback, but you have to decide that your story isn't over. You may not have chosen your pain, but you can choose your meaning. When you give your pain a purpose, it stops defining you and starts driving you. Pain has energy. It's raw, it's real, it's powerful. Instead of wasting it on self-pity, channel it into progress. Every workout fueled by heartbreak, every late night spent rebuilding your life, every tear shed in silence, it all adds up. The most unstoppable people aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who turned their wounds into weapons of wisdom. Don't suppress your pain. Harness it. Turn that emotional fire into motivation that never burns out. What if your greatest suffering was actually your greatest setup? What if the pain you're facing right now is preparing you for the person you're destined to become? When you reframe your pain, when you see it not as punishment, but as preparation, it loses its power to destroy you. The truth is, growth never feels good while it's happening. But one day you'll look back and realize that what felt like breaking was actually becoming. Pain without purpose is just suffering. But when you decide to use your pain to serve others, it becomes power. Maybe your struggle can inspire someone else to keep going. Maybe your story is the light someone else needs in their darkest hour. The moment you shift your focus from why is this happening to me to how can this help others, your pain transforms. You become unstoppable because your suffering is no longer wasted. It's redeemed. You will fall. You will fail. You will get hurt. But power is not about never falling. It's about rising every single time you do. The strongest people are not those who never break, but those who refuse to stay broken. Each time you rise, you send a message to the world that your pain didn't win, that you are stronger than your circumstances, that your comeback will always be louder than your setback. Ladies and gentlemen, the secret to turning pain into power is simple but profound. Don't escape your pain. Elevate through it. Let it shape you, strengthen you, and awaken you to the warrior you were always meant to be. Because the truth is, you were never meant to be defeated by your pain. You were meant to be defined by how powerfully you rise from it. Your pain is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your power. Accepting pain is one of the hardest things a human being can do, yet it is the foundation of true strength and transformation. When pain enters our lives, our natural instinct is to run from it, to hide, to bury it deep beneath distractions, excuses, or denial. But pain ignored does not disappear. It lingers in the background of our lives, quietly shaping our decisions, our fears, and even our self-worth. Acceptance is not about liking the pain or pretending it feels good. It's about facing reality with courage and choosing to meet the truth of what is rather than resisting what we wish wasn't. Every time you resist your pain, you give it more power. Every time you turn away from it, it grows stronger in the dark. But when you look at it directly, when you allow yourself to feel it fully, it begins to lose its grip. The act of acceptance transforms pain from something that controls you into something you can learn from. When people say that time heals all wounds, they're only half right. Time alone doesn't heal anything. What heals is the conscious choice to face what hurts and find meaning in it. Acceptance opens the door to healing because it allows you to stop fighting against yourself. The moment you stop saying, this shouldn't have happened, or I wish it were different, you reclaim your energy. That energy can then be used to rebuild, to grow, to evolve. Accepting pain is not weakness. It's an act of radical strength. It means you're willing to step into discomfort for the sake of truth. It means you are done pretending that you're fine when you're not. It means you are ready to grow beyond the limits of your suffering. Think of pain as a messenger. It's trying to tell you something. Maybe it's revealing where you've ignored your needs, where you've stayed too long in a situation that was draining you, or where you betrayed your own values. Pain brings awareness, and awareness brings power. The only way to transform that pain is to listen to it, to ask it what it wants you to know. When you stop running, you start understanding, and understanding gives you the ability to choose a new direction. Every person who has ever reinvented themselves has first gone through a stage of painful honesty. A moment where they said, this hurts, but I will face it because I know it's the only way forward. Acceptance also requires compassion toward yourself. Often we make pain worse by judging ourselves for feeling it. We say things like, I shouldn't feel this way, or I should be over this by now. But those words only deepen the wound. True acceptance means allowing yourself to feel everything without shame. It's saying, yes, this is my pain. I don't have to justify it. I don't have to compare it. I don't have to apologize for it. That level of honesty softens the resistance inside you. The moment you stop fighting your feelings, you begin to release the tension that keeps you stuck. It's like unclenching a fist that's been tight for years. Suddenly there's space for healing to enter. The paradox of acceptance is that the very act of allowing pain to exist is what allows it to transform. When you suppress pain, it festers. When you feel it, it flows. Accepting pain doesn't mean surrendering to it forever. It means acknowledging it so that you can move through it consciously. Every scar you carry becomes a reminder not of weakness, but of resilience. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel, and you cannot grow beyond what you won't confront. Acceptance is the bridge between suffering and strength, between victimhood and empowerment. It's the first courageous step toward turning your pain into power. Shifting from victim to victor is the moment your life truly begins to change. It's the internal decision to stop letting what happened to you define who you are. Many people go through painful experiences, betrayal, loss, rejection, failure, and they begin to see themselves as the victim of life's cruelty. They start to believe that their circumstances are stronger than their will, that their pain is permanent, and that they have no control over what happens next. This mindset creates invisible chains. It traps you in a loop of blame, self-pity, and resentment, where every new challenge becomes proof that the world is unfair. But the truth is, pain may have visited you, but it doesn't have to own you. The moment you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now, is the moment you reclaim your power. You are not defined by what broke you. You are defined by how you rise from it. When you choose to stop being the victim, you take responsibility, not for what happened, but for how you respond to it. Responsibility doesn't mean fault. It means recognizing that you're healing your peace and your future belong to you, not to the person or situation that hurt you. This shift in mindset is liberating. It allows you to take back the steering wheel of your life. As long as you see yourself as powerless, you'll stay stuck in the same emotional place no matter how much time passes. But the moment you declare, I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become, everything changes. You move from a place of reaction to a place of creation. You stop waiting for someone else to fix your life and start building it yourself. Being a victor doesn't mean you ignore your pain or pretend it didn't happen. It means you refuse to let it control the narrative of your life. It's about rewriting your story with courage and purpose. When you see yourself as a victim, your pain becomes your identity. When you see yourself as a victor, your pain becomes your teacher. Every setback becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. Every disappointment becomes a lesson in resilience. The people who rise above their circumstances don't do it because life was easier for them. They do it because they made a conscious decision to use their suffering as fuel for transformation. They stopped saying, life is happening to me, and started saying, life is happening for me. This shift from victim to victor also requires forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness. Often the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You may blame yourself for the choices you made, for trusting the wrong people, or for not knowing better at the time, but staying trapped in guilt only feeds the victim mindset. True strength comes when you forgive yourself, accept that you did the best you could with the awareness you had, and decide to move forward with new wisdom. Forgiveness isn't about excusing the pain, it's about freeing yourself from its hold. The more you hold on to anger and resentment, the more power you give to the past. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means no longer letting the past dictate your present. To live as a victor, you must also change the language you use about yourself and your life. Words shape identity. When you say, I can't, I'll never, or it's impossible, you reinforce limitation. But when you start saying, I can, I will, and I'm stronger than this, you program your mind for resilience. Your words create your world. And every time you speak from a place of power rather than pain, you reinforce your identity as a victor. Being a victor is not a one-time decision, it's a daily practice. Every morning you wake up, you have two choices: to be controlled by your circumstances or to use them as fuel to become better. Each choice, each action, each thought either keeps you trapped in your pain or propels you toward your potential. The power to shift lies entirely within you. And once you realize that, no circumstance can ever truly defeat you again. Pain has an energy that most people never learn how to use. It's raw, intense, and deeply emotional. For many, pain becomes something to escape, something to bury under distractions, addictions, or endless business. But the truth is, pain is one of the most powerful sources of fuel you'll ever have in your life. When you learn to harness it instead of running from it, it becomes a driving force that propels you forward, sharpens your focus, and awakens your strength. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every disappointment carries within it a massive amount of energy. The difference between those who stay stuck and those who rise lies in how they use that energy. You can either allow pain to consume you, or you can redirect it to create something meaningful. When you channel your pain into growth, it becomes a catalyst for transformation rather than destruction. Think about the times in your life when you felt the most driven. Chances are those moments were born out of struggle. Maybe it was the breakup that made you focus on becoming stronger, the rejection that pushed you to prove yourself, or the failure that forced you to evolve. Pain ignites a fire inside you that comfort never could. When everything is easy, you stay the same. When everything hurts, you either crumble or awaken. Growth doesn't happen in the absence of pain. It happens because of it. Pain tests your limits, challenges your beliefs, and forces you to dig deeper than you ever thought possible. It's in those moments when you feel like you can't take another step that your true power begins to emerge. Using pain as fuel means transforming the emotional energy of suffering into momentum. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Start asking, how can I use this? That one shift changes everything. Every ounce of frustration can be turned into determination. Every tear can become a spark of motivation. The same energy that breaks you can rebuild you if you direct it with intention. When you take the emotions that pain brings, anger, sadness, grief, and channel them into purpose, you begin to rise above your circumstances. The pain that once paralyzed you becomes the force that pushes you beyond your limits. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of pain and start seeing yourself as its master. It's not about pretending that pain feels good or that it's easy to bear. It's about understanding that pain is energy waiting to be transformed. Think of the greatest athletes, artists, and leaders throughout history. Almost all of them had one thing in common. They faced incredible pain and turned it into purpose. They used their suffering as motivation to push harder, to dig deeper, to never give up. Pain gave them hunger, drive, and a reason to fight. You can do the same. Every time you feel like giving up, remind yourself that the fire inside you was built through struggle. That energy can either burn you or build you, depending on what you do with it. When you learn to use pain as fuel, it changes your relationship with adversity. You begin to see obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities to grow stronger. Instead of wasting your emotional energy on self-pity, you redirect it towards self-mastery. You work harder, think clearer, and live with more purpose. Pain becomes your coach rather than your enemy, your motivator rather than your burden. It gives you a reason to wake up earlier, to push through the hard days, and to keep going long after others have stopped. The people who rise to greatness are not those who never feel pain, but those who know how to convert it into power. Every time you use pain as your fuel, you prove to yourself that nothing outside of you can truly control your destiny. Pain becomes not the weight that drags you down, but the fire that drives you to rise. Reframing the meaning of suffering is the art of seeing pain through a new lens. It's understanding that what you perceive as an ending may actually be the beginning of something greater. Most people interpret pain as a signal that something is wrong, that life is unfair, or that they are being punished. But the truth is, suffering is often preparation in disguise. It's life's way of molding you, stretching you, and awakening the strength you didn't know you had. When you reframe pain, you stop seeing it as a curse and start recognizing it as a catalyst. The story you tell yourself about your pain determines whether it destroys you or develops you. If you believe pain means you're broken, you'll act broken. But if you believe pain means you're growing, you'll rise stronger than before. Every great transformation begins with discomfort. A seed must break before it can grow into a tree, just as a heart must break before it can truly open. Growth never feels good while it's happening, but it's always worth it in the end. When life feels like it's falling apart, it may actually be falling into place. Reframing suffering doesn't mean denying the pain or pretending it's pleasant. It means finding meaning in it. It's choosing to ask empowering questions instead of disempowering ones. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this trying to teach me? That single shift in perspective changes everything. It moves you from helplessness to awareness, from despair to empowerment. When you view suffering as a teacher rather than a punishment, you begin to extract wisdom from it. Pain often exposes what needs healing within you. Old fears, unhealed wounds, limiting beliefs. It brings them to the surface so that you can finally address them. The process is uncomfortable because growth always requires release. You must let go of who you were to become who you are meant to be. Suffering, when reframed, becomes the sculptor that shapes your soul. The more you resist it, the more it hurts. The more you accept its lessons, the more it refines you. The people who thrive in life aren't those who never face pain, but those who give their pain meaning. There's a profound difference between going through pain and growing through pain. Going through pain is passive. You endure it, hoping it ends soon. Growing through pain is active. You seek to understand it, to learn from it, and to let it strengthen you. When you reframe your suffering, you begin to see that the worst moments of your life can become the most transformative. The heartbreak that shattered you can teach you about love and self-worth. The failure that embarrassed you can reveal your true resilience. The loss that devastated you can deepen your appreciation for life. When you shift the meaning of pain, you shift the direction of your future. Pain doesn't change people how they interpret pain does. When you believe that suffering is there to build you, not break you, you stop resisting it and start evolving through it. Every storm, every disappointment, every challenge contains within it an opportunity to rise to a higher level of understanding. Life will always bring pain. It's inevitable. But suffering is a choice that comes from how you view that pain. You can choose to see it as evidence that you're cursed or as proof that you're being prepared for something greater. When you reframe the meaning of your suffering, you stop asking for life to get easier and start asking to get stronger. That's the moment when pain loses its power to destroy you and instead becomes the very force that transforms you into who you were always meant to be. Transforming pain into purpose is one of the most powerful forms of healing and empowerment a person can experience. Pain without purpose feels meaningless. It consumes you, it drains you, and it leaves you feeling lost. But when you attach a deeper meaning to your pain, when you use it to help others or to create something greater than yourself, that same pain becomes fuel for transformation. Every wound you've ever carried has the potential to become wisdom. Every heartbreak can turn into compassion. Every struggle can become strength. And every fall can become the foundation for someone else's rise. The secret lies in deciding that your suffering will not be wasted. You can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose what it means. When you decide to turn your pain into purpose, you reclaim your power from the very thing that once took it away. Instead of allowing your pain to imprison you, you use it as a tool to free yourself and others. Purpose transforms pain into something sacred because it gives it direction. It allows you to look back at your past and say, this didn't happen to destroy me, it happened to prepare me. That shift in perspective changes everything. It turns bitterness into understanding and despair into drive. Many of the most impactful people in the world didn't just rise despite their pain. They rose because of it. Their suffering became the reason they stood up, spoke out, and created change. When you share the lessons your pain has taught you, you give others permission to heal as well. The strength you gain through your struggles can inspire someone else to keep going when they're on the verge of giving up. That's the beauty of purpose. It multiplies healing. What once made you feel isolated becomes the bridge that connects you to others. When you use your story to help someone else find hope, your pain transforms from a burden into a blessing. It becomes a source of light instead of darkness. Helping others gives your suffering a mission, and that mission gives your life deeper meaning. But this transformation doesn't happen automatically. It requires courage. It takes bravery to look at your pain and ask, how can I use this? Instead of, why did this happen to me? It takes emotional strength to face the wounds you once tried to bury and turn them into something valuable. Yet once you do, you realize that pain was never the end of your story. It was the raw material you needed to build a new one. You start to understand that your greatest calling often hides inside your greatest challenge. The people who have endured the most heartbreak often become the most empathetic. Those who have faced the deepest loss often develop the strongest sense of gratitude. Pain breaks you open so that purpose can pour in. When you use your pain for something bigger than yourself, you no longer see it as punishment. You see it as a gift. It becomes proof that you are strong enough to survive and wise enough to grow. Every experience, no matter how painful, carries within it a seed of purpose. Your job is to find it, nurture it, and let it bloom. Maybe your pain can help someone else avoid the same mistakes. Maybe your struggle can inspire someone else to rise. Maybe your story can become the light that guides someone out of their darkness. That's how pain becomes powerful. It no longer controls you, it fuels you. It becomes the driving force behind your mission, the energy that keeps you moving forward, and the reminder that even the most painful experiences can lead to the most meaningful lives. Choosing to rise again and again is what separates those who merely survive from those who truly live. Life will knock you down, sometimes gently, sometimes with enough force to take your breath away. You will face heartbreak, failure, rejection, and loss. And each time, you'll be given a choice to stay down or rise once more. Rising is not easy. It demands strength when you feel weak, faith when you see no reason to believe, and courage when everything inside you screams to give up. But it's in that choice to rise, even when it hurts, that your true power is revealed. Every time you stand back up, you prove to yourself that your spirit is greater than your circumstances. Rising isn't about pretending the fall didn't happen. It's about refusing to let it define you. The strongest people you'll ever meet are not those who have never fallen, but those who've fallen countless times and still found the will to get back up. Each fall teaches them something. Each failure becomes a lesson. Each heartbreak expands their capacity to love. And each setback builds their resilience. They understand that the path to greatness is paved with struggle, not comfort. They don't see failure as the opposite of success. They see it as a necessary part of it. When you choose to rise, you tell life that you are unbreakable, that no matter how many times it tests you, you will not surrender. You might bend, but you will not break. You might stumble, but you will not stay down. The act of rising is a declaration of strength, a statement of defiance against defeat. Rising again requires more than motivation. It requires belief. You must believe that your future holds something worth fighting for, even when the evidence isn't there yet. You must believe that your story is not over, that your purpose is bigger than your pain. It's that belief that fuels your comeback. Sometimes rising doesn't look heroic. Sometimes it's quiet and unseen. It's getting out of bed when your heart is heavy. It's taking one more step when you'd rather stop. It's choosing to hope when it feels safer to give up. Rising is not always loud. It's often the silent decision to keep going when no one is watching. That's the kind of strength that transforms a person from the inside out. The truth is every rise makes you stronger. Every time you get back up, something inside you shifts. You gain new wisdom, deeper compassion, and greater clarity about who you are. You begin to trust yourself more because you've seen what you're capable of enduring. Pain teaches you that you can survive. Rising teaches you that you can thrive. With each comeback, your confidence grows, not because life gets easier, but because you get tougher. You start to see that setbacks are temporary and that the power to rebuild has always been within you. Life's greatest victories often come right after the moments when you wanted to quit. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who never stay down long enough for life to count them out. Choosing to rise again and again is a lifelong commitment. It's the understanding that there will always be new challenges, new failures, new disappointments, but none of them have the power to define you unless you let them. The comeback is always stronger than the fall because rising changes who you are. You become more grounded, more aware, more resilient. You stop fearing the fall because you've proven to yourself that you can survive it. You no longer measure success by how easy life feels, but by how powerfully you rise after every storm. The choice to rise is a reminder that no matter what life throws at you, your story continues. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to do next. Every rise becomes a testament to your strength, a symbol of your unshakable spirit, and proof that nothing can truly defeat a heart that refuses to stay down.